Already controversial, Ethiopia has started generating power from its Renaissance dam. What does it mean for negotiations between neighboring countries? Who stands to gain or lose?
In this video, we see how the countries involved in conflicts in Ethiopia, the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance dam, are making compromises to save the bombing of the infrastructure and focus on the benefits to the entire region and Africa at large. Discussions between the countries involved had reached a deadlock. What does this mean? The positive perception will lead to an end in the suffering of our people, especially the African common man, through great initiatives within and around the region to perform entrepreneurship activities which will enable the continent to achieve sustainable development. Africa must stop treading along the counterproductive paths that keep our continent either stagnant or impoverished. We are not stupid. We are not bewitched. We are not cursed. We just need to embrace each other in all our doings, and with unity, everything is possible. The sky is the limit. If we don't change, the whole continent will remain underdeveloped and vulnerable to re-colonisation. We must not let this happen. If you enjoyed this video, please continue supporting this program to enable us to continue providing thought-provoking, informative and motivating content. Kindly subscribe, give a like to the video, and type your comments below. On the 20th of February 2022, the dam produced electricity for the first time, delivering it to the grid at a rate of 375 megawatts. A second 375 megawatts turbine was commissioned in August 2022. Egypt, located 2,500 kilometers downstream of the site, opposes the dam, which it believes will reduce the amount of water available from the Nile. The Nile argued that the dam would not reduce water availability downstream and would also regulate water for irrigation. The potential impacts of the dam have been the source of severe regional controversy. The government of Egypt, a country which depends on the Nile for about 97% of its irrigation and drinking water, has demanded that Ethiopia cease construction of the dam as a precondition for negotiations, has sought regional support for its position, and some politicians have discussed methods to sabotage it. Egypt planned a diplomatic initiative to undermine the support of the dam in the region, as well as other countries supporting the project, such as China and Italy. However, other nations in the Nile Basin Initiative have expressed support for the dam, including Sudan, the only other nation downstream of the Blue Nile. In 2014, Sudan accused Egypt of inflaming the situation. Ethiopia denies that the dam will have a negative impact on downstream water flows and contends that the dam will, in fact, increase water flows to Egypt by reducing evaporation on Lake Nasser. Ethiopia has accused Egypt of being unreasonable. In October 2019, Egypt stated that talks with Sudan and Ethiopia over the operation of a 4 billion hydropower dam that Ethiopia is building on the Nile has reached a deadlock. The lack of international financing for projects on the Blue Nile River has persistently been attributed to Egypt's campaign to keep control of the Nile watershed. As of April 2023, Ethiopia's Office of National Coordination announced that 90% of the construction had been completed. Security around the dam. In recent years, due to the threat of a possible airstrike on the dam, the Ethiopian government has sought and bought several air defense systems from Russia, including the Patsil S-1 air defense system, and from Israel, including the Spider MR medium-range air defense system, which was installed at the dam. Egypt sought to block the sale between Israel and Ethiopia, but Israel ignored the request. Benefits. A major benefit of the dam will be hydropower production. All the energy generated by GERD will be going into the national grid of Ethiopia to fully support the development of the whole country, both in rural and urban areas. The role of GERD will be to act as a stabilizing backbone of the Ethiopian national grid. There will be exports, but only if there is a total surplus of energy generated in Ethiopia. This is mainly expected to happen during any rainy season when there is plenty of water for hydropower generation. The eventual surplus of electricity of GERD, which does not fit the demand inside Ethiopia, is then to be sold and exported to the neighboring countries, including Sudan and possibly Egypt and Kenya. Up to 7,000 tons of fish are expected to be harvested annually. The reservoir may become a tourist destination. Sudan expects fewer floods thanks to the dam, but this has not been observed in reality yet. So little environmental impact information is publicly available. Public consultation about dams in Ethiopia is affected by the political climate in the country. Impact on Ethiopia. Since the Blue Nile is a highly seasonal river, the dam would reduce flooding downstream of the dam, including on the 15-kilometer stretch within Ethiopia. On the one hand, the reduction of flooding is beneficial since it protects settlements from flood damage. Impact on Sudan and Egypt. The precise impact of the dam on the downstream countries is not known. Egypt fears a temporary reduction of water availability due to the filling of the reservoir and a permanent reduction because of evaporation from the reservoir. Studies indicate that the primary factors that will govern the impact during the reservoir filling phase include the initial reservoir elevation of the Aswan High Dam, the rainfall that occurs during the filling period, and the negotiated agreement between the three countries. These studies also show that the risk of negative impact can be minimized or eliminated if the three countries closely and continuously coordinate. The reservoir, located in the temperate Ethiopian highlands and up to 140 centimeters deep, will experience considerably less evaporation than downstream reservoirs such as Lake Nasser in Egypt, which loses 12% of its water flow due to evaporation as the water sits in the lake for 10 months. Through the controlled release of water from the reservoir to downstream, this could facilitate an increase up to 5% in Egypt's water supply and presumably that of Sudan as well. In conclusion, Africa has great potential for achieving shared growth, shared development, and shared prosperity, but we are hindered by our inability to work together in addressing our challenges, most of which directly impact on the well-being of our people. Sustainable development can only be achieved if each of us carries and passes over the baton. What are your thoughts and opinions regarding the erecting of the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia? Do you think Egypt should continue sabotaging the efforts by Ethiopia to develop its people and the surrounding countries? This information is presented to you by Nathan for Melina Management Consultants, the chief sponsor of the Entrepreneurship and Sustainable Development Program for Africa. If you enjoyed this video, please continue supporting this program to enable us to continue providing thought-provoking, informative and motivating content. Kindly subscribe, give a like to the video, and type your comments below. We really appreciate your participation. Until next time, God bless you.
The giant hydropower dam is built on the upper part of the Blue Nile River. It's been a source of controversy from the time the first brick was laid a decade ago. For Sudan and Egypt, the Nile River's waters are a lifeline for millions.